Hey guys, welcome to another Cigar Chat brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcast around the world in the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are out there in the world today. Spend some time with us. We really do appreciate it. Robbie Raz from Cigar Federation here with you as always. We've got special guest host today. Logie Bear was feeling a little under the weather, so we cut him a pass on that. To me, just says he was hungover, but he'll play it off like I had a sinus infection or something. No, he just had too much to drink. But we've got John, the cigar surgeon, sitting in riding shotgun tonight. John, thanks for filling in.
Yeah, no worries, brother. We were kind of talking a little bit offline, and I was trying to think how many times you and I have done Cigar Chat together, because I think typically it's been me subbing for you and not me subbing for Logie Bear. But I'll do my best to put on my cranky face and gesticulate with my hands a lot and try to come up, because he usually comes up with some good questions. So I'll see if I can do my best here.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you put on your cranky pants, but he does drop a gem question every now and again. So.
Oh, he's on point with those questions.
So there is a little pressure. There is a little pressure there for you. Our guest tonight is Jason Wood of Miami Cigar. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight.
What's going on, guys? Appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Yeah,
looking forward to a good time.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We battled through some tech issues a few weeks ago, and we tried to have Jason on. And if you guys hung around and watched the episode that we recorded that day, it was just a rant episode about how much we were disappointed in Google for letting us down. Even though I really thought it was still my fault, but it turns out it was a Google issue and it has been fixed. So
I thought it was my fault. I thought it was my fault too. So
yeah, right. That was, and it's funny. Jason called me right after. He's like, "Man, I'm so sorry that I screwed it up." I'm like, "Dude, this was not your fault. It was anybody's mine." So I really did appreciate that. Very gracious of you. So let's just jump right in. We haven't had you on the show before, so we've had different representatives from Miami Cigar in the past, but this is the first time we've been able to get you to come on with us. So give us a little bit of your background. I know maybe just about as much as anybody else does, but we haven't. You and I have never met in person, I don't think, and so this will be the first time we really get a chance to chat. So tell us a little bit about your past and how you ended up where you are with Miami Cigar.
Yeah, so actually I've been with the company. In May will be 6 years. So it'll be my 6-year anniversary with Miami Cigar Company. Nestor actually brought me aboard to the company. I'm married to his daughter, Tatiana. So about 6 years ago he started asking me to come aboard. I was always obviously very interested always to be a part of the family business and stuff like that. We were finally able to make it work. And my one thing to him was I just wanted to make sure that I was able to do each step of the process along the way. Obviously, I am the son-in-law, so I'm going to have some benefits that other employees wouldn't have, but I wanted to make sure that I can learn everything along the way and not just be given the position that's given to me. I wanted to learn everything, so when I'm in the spot where I am right now, I can actually go to my guys in the warehouse, or I can go to my people in customer service, or even my reps, and I can tell them, I did this with you, or I did this even before the company. And sorry about that.
It's all right.
I got a live audience here, so this is kind of interesting. So it was just basically what I'm trying to get at is I let them know I wanted to do all the parts along the way, kind of like a Happy Billy Madison type of deal, Adam Sandler, that he went through all the grades till he got to the top type of thing, to make sure that once I got to this position, I knew everything that was going on with the company, if it's from shipping to logistics to customer service to sales to managing the sales force and stuff like that. So that was always my main focus, and we were able to do that, and I worked my way up to the position where I'm at right now. I'm actually the vice president of Miami Cigar, so I report directly to my in-laws, Nestor and Mariana, and which they've been awesome with me from the beginning, allowing me, for good or for bad, to make the decisions. And working in a small family business, you learn that real quick. You learn, like, your ideas are great, and you're like, wow, that was amazing, I'm a genius, or you see the idea and you're like, wow, that was a stupid idea, why did I do that? But it's, for good or for bad, you learn. And if it's a bad idea, the best thing you can do is just learn and not do it again. So I'm really grateful for the position that I've been placed in, and they've done great. We've been around for 26 years, so now it's my responsibility to take the company to that next level, to the next step.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, no pressure. And they really don't, man. I don't know if you guys have ever met Nestor in the past, but he's as cool as they come, man. He's a cool cat. Like he believes in me. He believes in my ideas and what I have and what I bring to the table, and I really appreciate that.
That's yeah, no, I have briefly met Nestor in the past, and he was a very humble gentleman, very gracious. I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't know who I was, but he was he took the time to chat with me for a quick second. So he's a very nice gentleman from the brief amount of time I've spent with him. I love my father-in-law. I think that I got, as far as the father-in-law lottery goes, I got pretty lucky with that family, and it's great. He and I get along really, really well.
Right.
But I don't know if I could work for the man.
Yeah,
That's an
it's tough.
interesting dynamic.
It's tough, and but like I said, it's just working with him is he's a very outside of the office type of guy. He's a shaking hands and kissing babies type of guy. So he likes to be out in the street with the reps, selling the product, promoting the brands, whether it be La Aurora, Viva Republica, or our own brands that we own in Miami Cigar. So once it comes to the stuff inside the office, he comes in every day. Like he'll come in for a little while, let me know, ask me what's going on, what are you working on, perfect, and then he's off. He's off to go be with the customers. Even when he's in Miami, he's not with a rep. He wants to be in the stores. And to be honest, I want him in the stores too. Like that's where he's most valuable, building a relationship with the retailers and the consumers. So it's with him, it's money, man. He's so he's just so chill, and he believes, and that's the main thing. That I mean, that's all you can ask for, to have somebody to have your back, and he always has my back. And like with Mariana, my mother-in-law, she's actually, so a lot of people don't know this, but she's the one that started Miami Cigar. So like Nestor's the face and everything of the company, but his wife was actually the one that started the company in 1989. Actually, even a few years before that, before they even incorporated. So she's the one that's the stickler. She's the one with the numbers. She's the one when she comes in, she wants to know the bottom line. So it's a good relationship, and they've been married for 50 years, and you can tell because it's a perfect combo. Like she's very office numbers driven, and he's very the opposite. He's very people, sales, like positive going, and she's very with the numbers and making sure that everything's taken care of, just like the mother goose. So she takes care of it, and he goes out there and takes care of his part of the business as well. So it's a good combo, and I'm lucky that I'm kind of like the mix of the two, so it kind of works out for all three of us. It works out very well.
Yeah, that sounds like a good setup you guys have. John, you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, you have got to have a heck of a marriage to work together, and I'm talking about Nestor. I mean, you have to have a heck of a marriage to be married for 50 years and work alongside your partner.
Right.
I mean, marriage enough is challenging, but running a business together, I mean, you got to know they're in sync to be able to do that together, because that's I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, he's traveling every other week. He's out, so just imagine it's tough. But you're with her 1 week and then you're out for a week. So, that's his peace. He has peace of mind knowing that as bad as it gets, in 5, 6, 4, 3, 2, whatever amount of days, he's on a plane with the reps traveling. So that gives him the peace of mind, and it brings him back energized and happy to see his wife, and then happy to leave his wife.
that does build in a nice buffer.
Yeah.
I can imagine that would be. Again, I love my wife. I don't know if I could work with her.
Right.
I mean, but again, she and I we would fill that kind of criteria though, because I'm the creative brain. I don't know, is that left side? John? Is that left brain?
Yeah, I think that's left brain.
And
yeah.
She's more,
Right brain.
although she's a creative type too, but she can mash out a spreadsheet or something if she needs to, and I'm lost when it comes to that stuff. So we do balance each other that way. But no, that's not why anybody's here. They don't care about whether my wife and I can make a spreadsheet. So tonight I'm smoking, and I've been smoking a lot of these lately. The Nestor Miranda collection. This is the Maduro, and they all got their different color bands on them. And I'm pairing it because John and I do our sharing our pairing show. I figured, in honor of John being here, and I kind of like to drink while we do the show, pairing it with an old Rasputin Russian Imperial Stout, and it's very good. And John, what are you smoking?
You know, you had to listen to me go on and on at great length about this. I'm smoking the Nestor Miranda Grand Reserve 2012. I've got a box of the 2013, and I love the 2013, and somebody, good Brother Leaf, hooked me up with the 2012 box. Man, like, the more I smoke of these, the less I want to smoke of these because the less I have. But I am smoking or drinking, pairing with a Dragonhead Stout because I think it just goes really well. I was thinking of going with rum, but I gotta work later, and I think if I got into the rum, it'd probably get pretty loose pretty fast.
Nice.
That would definitely loosen up the show a little bit, getting John on some rum. we've done some rum shows on sharing our pairings, and he does he gets a little bit chatty after one or two. So let's we've got a ton of audience questions, we've got a ton of giveaways that we're going to get to a little bit later. Just a reminder, you guys listening to Cigar Chat, brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcast around the world in the Armed Forces Radio Network. We're here with Jason Wood of Miami Cigar and Company. Let's just jump right into these audience questions. Got one here. I'm just going to go down the list. So if you guys are watching live, go ahead and upvote the questions that you want us to ask, because we've got a bunch of them here. This one's from Jason Myers. Says the Nestor Miranda Connecticut is one of the few cigars that is taking a Connecticut wrapper in a new direction. Was this cigar blended with that goal in mind, or did the final blend just end up being a more full-flavored cigar? So, I'll paraphrase. When you blended this Nestor Miranda collection and you went with the Connecticut wrapper, was the goal to be a bit more full-bodied for a Connecticut, or was that just kind of a happy accident?
The deal with that one, I think more than anything, to give you the best answer on that, is that it's a Pepin-made product. So don't think my father makes that product. He's not really known for the mildest of cigars. Even though it's Connecticut, it still has that Nicaraguan spice to it, and to be honest, I love it. Like we're spread out throughout the board as far as like Nestor, my sales manager, myself, and our whole team goes as to which one of the collection we like the best. But for me, the Connecticut, I can smoke it any time of the day, and it's not too soft that I can't smoke it. If I'm drinking something a little heavier, I just had it like a big meal or something like that. So to me, that it's a Connecticut, but it's still got that Nicaraguan pepin kick to it that people expect from his cigars.
It's kind of a more modern take on the classic Connecticut, really.
Definitely. I think that's happened a lot too with, this is a Connecticut from Ecuador also. Mm-hmm. So with that Ecuadorian Connecticut, it pairs nicer with a little bit more spicier, a little bit stronger of tobacco. I don't know. Again, I'm about to have complete 6 years in the industry, so still learning everything in the ins and outs of stuff. I don't consider myself a blender or anything by any means. But that Ecuadorian Connecticut, I feel like it pairs much nicer with some of the other blends, and you are able to get a more medium-bodied smoke out of the Connecticut using that wrapper as opposed to the regular Connecticut for us.
Now, you said that you don't fancy yourself a blender by any means, but how often do you get down into the factory floor and get your hands dirty?
So half of my part of my Billy Madison little experience was I spent 3 months in the factory with Guillermo and Manuel and all my brothers in the Dominican Republic. So again, 3 months doesn't give you anything, but it was a nice little jump start to actually live, breathe, and feel everything about what it is, either from the fields to the factory, going to buy tobacco. Because I wanted to see what it was about. Not necessarily that I was going to ever be a tobacco buyer or anything like that, but I wanted to see what the process was all about. And because of the relationship between Nestor and the Leon family, they opened their arms to me and the doors were like, just go ahead and come in. As long as you want to stay, you can stay. So I stayed there for about a while. I mean, I'd come back on the weekends to be with my family and stuff, but here and there, I was there for it was almost 3 months in total. There, just learning what I could learn to get that head start. And then one of my main responsibilities was taking the tours to the factory. So I would go with the groups every 6 or 8 weeks. I'd be in the factory, to the point now that I go even more. I'm probably there every 4 or 5 weeks. I'm with the guys in Santiago.
Wow, every 4 or 5 weeks. That's
a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but it's of all the places in the world that you have to go to every 4 weeks. That's not bad, right?
Yeah, it's not bad, and it's not bad for a lot of reasons. I mean, the people there, they become like my extended family. The guys in the factory, like when you visit the factory and you meet everybody in La Aurora, or if you have the chance to meet them when they come to the States, starting with Guillermo and Manuel, and then all the way down from everybody that works in the factory. They're just so chill. Like they accept you right away. They want you to learn. They feel like that passion. If you want to learn learn the business and you're passionate about what they're doing, they teach you everything, man. They really embrace that and they accept it. And I couldn't thank Guillermo and Manuel more for everything they've done for me.
Yeah, that's. I've been lucky enough to go down to Nicaragua, and get a good view of everything that happens, from the fields into the factory, and how many people are involved in rolling your cigar. Lucky enough to go back down again next month on our Cigar Federation Cigar Safari trips. We're looking forward to that. That's going to be exciting.
Very cool.
I have never been to the Dominican, and this is my wife keeps telling me, let's take a trip to the Dominican. You can write it off. I'm like, well, I don't know if I can write it off. We could try, but I don't know if I can. But no, that is going to be That's probably next on my list.
It's man. I've been the first factory trip I ever did, even before I did the time in the factory with La Aurora, is I went to Pepin's factory before it had even opened. It was about to open, so that was the first factory I saw, and it's beautiful. We went over to Jewel State just to see it. I wanted to see as much as I could see. And it looks like these monstrous factories, beautiful. You can tell that like these people, they're in it to win it. But then once Nestor took me the first time to La Aurora and I saw what was going on in the Dominican Republic, it's such a difference. It's not saying one's better than the other, but it's so traditional. You feel it when you walk in. You're like, it went down here. Like you can tell that they've been doing things here for a long time. And it's very traditional. And not only with La Aurora, I've been to other factories in the DR too. It's a different feel. So I try to tell the guys, if you've been to the factories in Nicaragua already, you see these monstrosities. They're huge and they're beautiful, and that's great, and I love it. Believe me, I'm new school too. Like that's amazing. But if you're ready to see like the tradition and you really want to see like cigars, what they've been about for years, then you see the traditional one. You're not going to see these metropolis of buildings that these guys have, which is amazing that they have it. I love that. But when you go to La Aurora and you see, it's just like you can tell it's blood. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in those walls. Like it's since 1903. They've been doing it for a long time.
Wow, since 1903. That's 1903 was, to give you a little Rob trivia history. That was when my grandmother came over from Italy and moved to San Francisco in 1903. My grandmother was in San Francisco for the 1906 earthquake.
I'm gonna play Logan for a second. I'm gonna say nobody cares, Logan.
Nobody cares, but I never get to. I miss my grandmother. I never get to talk about her. So whenever anybody says 1903 or 1906, I always bring her up. So
I'm sure she's a lovely lady.
Yeah,
I'm not chopping on your grandmother.
No, she was. Oh man, she was a tough woman. She was tough. She took nothing off of nobody. I'll tell you that. So Jason, do you guys? I know a lot of different factories do tours where you invite the public down, or you bring down some shops where you have your retailers and they bring some of their guys down. Do you guys offer trips like that?
Correct. So we've always done the factory trips. Normally set up through retailers. So through a retailer, either just somebody like a loyalty program, somebody that's really supported us through the years. We set things up, or do a big event and raffle off a few trips, things like that. Similar to what a lot of the other factories have done and what they're doing now more and more. So to kind of try to differentiate ourselves a little bit as far as the La Aurora factory goes, we've opened the Cigar Institute. So it's called the Cigar World Institute, and it's a one-stop where we can actually show everybody the process from seed to final cigar. So normally, like in a lot of these places, you go to the farm, you check out the farm, you go to the factory, you see the process in the factory. This is a legit museum that they have set up where you can actually see the whole process. It's like a, I think, 4,500 square foot museum with every different station along the way from the seeds, and then there's interactive videos where you can see what's going on. And then on the second floor, they actually have a Cigar Institute. There's two large classrooms where they're going to have guest speakers. One obviously will be Manuelino, the master blender of La Aurora. But they're looking to get some of the guys that have been involved in the industry, big names that are no longer in the industry, but retired, living in Santiago, they still have the passion for the cigars and they want to talk about it and talk about the process. So it's really a cool concept because they can get it all done there in that one location. And it's phenomenal. They released it at Pro Cigar this year in February, so the people that visited the factory had a chance to walk through and get like a partial feel for what the museum is going to be. But they need to bank on the tourist attractions that they have. So many tourists come in there to do the tour, so you might as well give them the whole feel of it. And we're going to try to get something rolling in place where we can give them like the taste of the Dominican and show them what's going on with everything. Because I mean, like the guys at Drew Estate, they do an amazing, phenomenal job. Pedro and the whole crew with their cigar safari. It's Esteli, Nicaragua. You know, it's cigars, and believe me, it's gotten a lot better. And the restaurants, last time I went a few months ago, and they have great restaurants and everything too. But not a knock on them, but it's not the Dominican. Like it's not Santiago, and there's so much. Santiago's a great place. Like,
sounds like a gauntlet is being thrown down.
Challenge extended.
It's a great place, so I mean, we'd love to get you guys to go out there and check it out, and just so you can see what it's about. But it's amazing. But just to answer your question, yes, we do the factory tours. We're always looking and we're open to getting groups to come out. But we do it through we normally do it through our retailers just to make sure and to support them and to give a thank you back to them for the support they give to us for our brands.
Cool. I think, John, once the cameras are turned off, we're going to turn the screws on Jason here, and we're going to set up Cigar Federation trip down there. I think we should.
Yeah, we are.
What do you think?
That would be a good idea.
See, I always
I'm trying to take it easy with the language. I'm trying to behave as best as possible.
thank you. I apprate that.
Save that for our After Dark segment.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, see, that's the trick, John. Is you got to
bring
it up.
It would be a great idea.
Yeah. You got to bring it up when everybody's listening, and that way, they can always point back. Hey, everybody listening on the Armed Forces Radio Network knows that this is going to happen now, so it's got to happen. I mean, there's millions of people listening. So anyway, John, I know you want to jump in with some of these questions from the group here.
I do, but I want to ask a Logan-style question, Jason, because
prepare yourself.
I was looking over the Miami Cigar and Company. You guys have a lot of brands. You've got some classic brands, of course, Nestor Miranda, La Aurora, Tatiana, Miami Cigar, and of course you just recently added Viva Republica.
Yes.
And you're the vice president, and the umbrella corporation, the umbrella company runs distribution. So maybe for our audience, and certainly for me, that sounds like a lot. I mean, what do you do? Can you give an overview as what you're responsible for as a vice president for a distribution? Because that seems like a lot.
Right. So I have a few different roles that I have in the company. A lot of people ask like, what's your role with the company, stuff like that. To be honest, being a small business, my role is everything. Whatever it takes, from something in the warehouse all the way up until with the reps to making decisions, working on the blends with the factory. But the main day-to-day, I work closely with our sales manager, Hector Paz. He's in charge of all our reps. So we have right now currently 11 reps. We just created a new territory to get our 12th in-house rep in the U.S. So that's the backbone. That's the backbone of our company, are our reps, and I appreciate them so much for everything they do for us. It's just without them, basically, we're nothing. I even tell our people in-house, like when the reps call, you need to make it as easy as possible for them. They're out on the road, they're pounding the pavement, they're in the streets, they're in their car, like living in hotels. Like you're sitting comfortably in the air condition. Like when they call, let's give them the love. If they need something, don't complain. Just get it for them. Like because if they're not selling their product and doing what they got to do, you don't have a job. So like it's because of them that we're able to have the employees that we have in the office. So take care of business, help them out, make it easy. So dealing with Hector is one of my responsibilities. Working closely with my in-laws is another one, and then working with accounting just to make sure that the numbers and the margins and stuff are where they need to be. Finance is my background. That's what I went to school for. So it's something that I know. It's probably my least favorite, but it's probably the most important.
So, it's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's what it is. It's numbers, but you need, it's got to make sense. So you got to make sure that every operation, it could sound like a great idea to sell all these boxes to somebody, but if you got to give all this and that, you got to make sure that it makes sense.
Well, I have a good audience follow-up question, which is completely the opposite, and it's from Brian Etzkorn, and it's a really on-point question. He says that lately it seems that there's a lot of small batch, limited edition cigars sort of becoming more of a trend, where in the past you wouldn't, necessarily see a lot of limited edition, especially for older companies.
Right.
Do you think that Miami Cigar is going to jump on the trend, and do you think that, you guys, like you said, you're from early 1900s, is it harder for a larger, more established company to introduce a limited edition or small batch style of cigar?
Well, just the best answer for that is when we were talking about the brands that we distribute. The Viva Republica brand was a brand that was made at La Aurora, the factory. Obviously, we make our cigars and distribute the cigars for as well. We have a long-standing relationship. That was what was attractive for both sides, both for Jason Hawley, the owner of Viva, and for myself. It's because I have the first Dominican cigar factories, cigars in La Aurora. My father-in-law was a cool cat, but he's in his 70s. It's still an older man's brand. We try to
very
modernize
traditional,
and stuff like that. It's traditional. But now with that Viva brand, it's all that short-run, limited edition type stuff that we didn't currently have. So you see little things like the Jailbreak, the Culebra, all these different, the Gorilla, the small little powerhouse, different things like that. They might come off a little fake or kind of like trying too hard with the La Aurora brand, that we can do it with the Viva brand. And at the same time show, this is the first factory in the DR since 1903, but they're hip to the game too. They know what's up. Like they can do these crazy little monsters and bombs and culebras and different limited edition, quick run type stuff. So we do get into it. We try to get into it more than anything else with the Viva brand, because that is the niche. It's our boutique brand. We could never be boutique with La Aurora, and it would be a little tough for us to pull it off on the Miami Cigar side. But with the Viva brand, the Viva it's as boutique as it gets. So it gives us that segment of the market, and we can play with those guys in that segment as well.
Well, and maybe maybe we can talk a little bit about the Miami cigar brand. We have a good question from TJ4 Orange. He says he's familiar with Nestor, of course, familiar with La Aurora. He's got some in his humidor, but he hasn't experienced the Miami cigar brand yet. So he wants to know, is there a standout within the marca that maybe represents that brand, or like how would you recommend someone to start on that brand?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and it's confusion that we find in the market as well. You can either be like a house of brands or a branded house. Basically, the best way to explain it. Right now, instead of being a branded house, we're a house of brands. The reason behind that being Miami Cigar is the name of our company. That's our distribution company, but there's actually not a cigar with the Miami Cigar name on it. So you won't see right now currently in the market a cigar that's called Miami Cigar. Like our brands are Casa Miranda, Tatiana, Nestor Miranda, Don Lino, Africa, things like that, that are brands that we own and also distribute. We don't have a Miami Cigar branded product. Last year was our 25th anniversary, and we came out with a 25th anniversary humidor with cigars from both Guillermo La Aurora and Pepin and my father. And based off those cigars, we're working on a brand now to release later in the year that will be the first Miami Cigar branded product. So that'll be the first time that you actually see Miami Cigar. So for the person that had the question, it makes total sense that you've never seen a Miami cigar because they're not in the market yet. It's just that's our company name. So again, we're a house of brands. There's a lot of companies like Padron, Fuente, all their brands. It's a branded house. Like their house is branded Padron, and all their brands are Padron. Fuente, branded house, Fuente, and everything goes off of that Fuente name. But it's more. For example, like Pepin's setup. Pepin has my father, and he has that one line that's my father, but then he has a million other brands that don't even have that my father name on it. So it's more like that. It does make it a little bit more difficult, to be honest with you. That Ashton Fuente Padron setup does make it a lot easier, and the reason why it makes it easier is names. Coming up with new names and stuff, you guys have no idea how complicated it is to come out with a name. Any name that you think is good, you're like, that's the one, that's a winner. You check it, that thing was trademarked like 10 years. You're like, wow, I had like a cool new idea. Forget it, or you're not the creative mind you thought you were because somebody thought about it like 10 years ago. So that's what makes it hard.
Too late. I wanted to jump back on the limited releases. You guys have done a few in the past, and we were talking about one, a little bit before. This is probably my favorite release from the Miami Cigar was the Nestor Miranda Special Selection Exclusivo Regional, which I think that was the Midwest. Is that what
we? Yeah. That was born in the. It was actually born in the Chicago market on a trip when we were there with our rep at the time, and they wanted to get something exclusive for that area just to make it a little different, and so it could cater to the market and bring something exclusive to them to help the sales of the brand and everything over there. And it worked out. It worked out very well. That's a Cuban cigar type deal. They do like the regional release type things and stuff like that. So it wasn't like we just came up with a brand new idea. It was a concept that has been done by the Cubans in the past to come out with regional releases. We said, why not? We'd never done them in the past. Why not? Why not come out with one ourselves? And it was a success.
Yeah, and there was I want to say there was a Lancero too for the 107 Maduro. That
was when in my part in
Florida release.
What's that?
It was a Florida release, right? Or like
that one was when I was big. I was handling all the social media and marketing for the company at that time. Mm-hmm. We did the first ever Twitter release. So everything was through Twitter. Yeah, it was born in Atlanta, Georgia, with my boys Mike and Borum and Buckhead. We talking about ideas, something different that we can do. We're like, oh, Lancero, the 107 at the time was our best-selling La Aurora product. They're like, let's get a Lancero, and I was like, all right, let's get a Lancero. How many are you gonna commit to? And I'll commit to X amount in the store, but let's sell them on Twitter. I can commit to this amount. I was like, you know what, that's cool. So we did on October 7th, it happens to be my birthday also. So 10/7, 107, the whole thing. We're like, all right, on October 7th, let's do a national release, but only on Twitter. So they were like, all right, how's it going to work? I'll tell my reps that their stores can order it, but you have to have a Twitter account. Like the reps couldn't sell the product. So we sold them. Yeah, I think it was 1,007 boxes. Like we tried to play the game on the number. Yeah. 1,007 boxes that were sold on 10/7, but only through Twitter. Huh. So it was cool. I don't know of anybody that's done that before. So it was a cool concept, and it just shows like when you have the time to think. Like at that point in my career with Miami Cigar, that's what I just did, the social media and the marketing, and I was out just getting ideas from other customers and consumers and stuff like that. when you're in it to win it like that, and you have that focus in social media and marketing. To me, still to the day, that's the funnest time that I've had at Miami Cigar has been in that position. Because it's just, I feel like it's the more you drink, the better ideas come out. Like that's where you get to go, and you got to get your creative juices rolling, and then the next morning you wake up and knock off like 5 of the ideas because you know you're like, all right, that was after X amount of drinks, like that shouldn't have happened. Like there's a sweet spot. It happens. I play golf. It's the same thing in golf. You have like maybe 1 or 2 drinks, and you're loose and you're playing great, but then once you get to 3 or 4, like you're terrible. Yeah. Same with the ideas. The creative juices get rolling and it works out, but after a while, you're like, all right, just call it a night. Like forget talking about business anymore because now you're talking garbage.
That's funny. Yeah, you can always tell. You're looking back at the list of ideas from yesterday. It's like, oh, that one's all right. That one's all right. Okay, what happened? Oh, this is when we got the second bottle.
Yeah.
We opened the second bottle of Johnny Walker.
Exactly.
Okay, and now we'll just delete the rest of those. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think we had some nights like that at IPCPR last year. So.
For sure.
So yeah. So
in Vegas that happens pretty easy.
yeah. Exactly. Sure. Let's see, John. You got a couple more questions?
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of audience questions, but I want to know, since we're talking about drinking. And I know you guys have a rum brand under your umbrella, and I want to know, because I mean it's interesting to have, and I think didn't you guys introduce that at the IBCPR in 2014? You were doing some samples.
Yeah,
I think Rob and I had some because we kind of snuck off and had some rum, and I mean it's a bit hazy because I think we enjoyed ourselves. But I mean, how does that fit within? Because I mean, having a drink company to me seems like a very different business than having cigars. So how does that fit within the other brands that you have?
Right. So that was born. I don't know if you guys know the rum Barceló. So Barceló rum, it's a Dominican rum. La Aurora's actually, through their distributors, they distribute the product for them in the Dominican Republic. So they're the exclusive distributor for them in the DR. So what happens is Guillermo decides, like, you know what, I want to have my own La Aurora branded rum. And I told him, look, that's a great idea for us to cross-promote in events and stuff like that, and have that product out there in all these cigar bars and stuff that we go to. So even ones that don't have a bar for sampling, I go, that's a home run. Like right now, we have great partners in the liquor industry that we use, and I couldn't thank them more. Like our main one that we've been using for years is Rum Safra and Botran. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. But that's a local guy here in Miami. We use them. Garner's a great guy. Garner and Laz, they take care of us great. But that was the idea and the concept behind Guillermo getting to it. He's like, why not have our own and you can cross-brand everything? Like, it's a great idea. So they worked it out with Barceló, and kind of I don't know if you want to say the staple, like the measuring stick where they were trying to get at. They asked us all, like, what's your favorite rum? What do you like the best? And always, Zacapa for us always comes out like as the winner. That's the one that we enjoy the most. And they talked to my father-in-law a lot. My father-in-law had about 27 years experience in the liquor business before getting into cigars.
Oh, wow.
So Guillermo spoke to Nestor a lot about packaging, about product. When they finally got the first run of samples, it was a disaster. You get to the factory. So to give you an example, like with cigars, you have to eat a good breakfast before you get into the blending table because you're going to smoke so many cigars. Well, the rum guys told us the night before, they're like, all right, no breakfast tomorrow. I was like, well, I don't understand. When I need a good base, like to get rolling, so I'm going to be all right because we're starting early. It's like, no, I want a clean palate. And for them, clean palate meant no food, nothing. Like have some water and I'll see you at 8 in the morning. I was like, oh, okay, all right, let's do this. And it was, so they set up the 12, 15 different samples and you start, and after a while, like it's, man, you're going to town on these on these shots and taste. You're like, wow. And then they would give you, they were kind of like Tostitos, but with no salt, like kind of real bland, like just the blandest chips you ever had in your life. And they're like, all right, you could have one. Like, here's one chip. I was like, oh, you little rat. Like, you have like a little piece of it because you need it. And they're like, no, you can't have another chip. And then that's the only way that's how you get like the flavor of it, I guess. I don't know. But that was the concept behind it. But it was cool to see the similarities and the differences between tasting the rums and then tasting the cigars also. So it was cool in that process. We went through all that. Had the brand, had the one that we liked, the box, the packaging, everything was set up. To get it all set and ready to go, and I'm like, all right, I would love to open another division similar to Miami Cigar, but for liquor, and get that rolling in the United States as well. To find out that we had some trademarking issues with the actual La Aurora as a rum. So now we need to go back to the drawing board and change the name on it before we can actually import it into the U.S. It will be at the show again this year, but we can't sell it. So it's a little bit difficult. Yeah,
But we can taste it.
Yeah, so it's going to be
you can taste a lot of
you
it,
can
yeah.
only give it to us.
You can only, actually, it's a perfect situation for you guys. It can only be given; it can't be purchased.
All right, so John, so we're going to have to download the map, and then we're going to prioritize our days around, you know, how many trips can we stop by. Jason's going to get to know us really well.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
That's funny. I was actually going to be my follow-up question was where can an average guy like me get my hands on a bottle of that? But obviously, I can't do that.
The only place they sell it right now is in the factory, in the DR. So in the actual factory store, which is part of the museum and the whole thing, they've made a beautiful both store and lounge in the same complex, and you can buy the bottle. You can buy the bottle there. So that's the only place right now currently where it can be bought, and it's a duty-free store, so you can take it without a problem.
Oh, there you go. We actually have kind of a funny story. We had Jason Hawley on the show back in December, and he gave us a little anecdote about the rum. He was someone sent him to pick up some cigars because I don't remember the details of the story, but he was to pick up a couple hundred cigars and I don't know 10 or 12 bottles of the rum, and he said, this is how they feel about the rum. They handed me the cigars and it didn't matter, but when they handed me the rum, like they took my picture and I had to sign for it and all this stuff to make sure that the rum got to where it was supposed to go. I thought that was a funny story the way he told that.
That's I don't know if you guys have kids, but that's always the case. Like with your new baby, the new baby at the beginning is always you gotta treat it like that's your little baby,
Yeah.
And after they get older, you're like, all right, go do your thing. Like this is the new. For Guillermo now, the rum, like that's his baby, and it's everybody that's tried it, they really like it, and it's got a sweetness to it. It's not over the top sweet like some of the other rums, but it's a really good rum. And when you guys try it, when you tried it before, once you try it again, you'll see it's a winner. They got a winner with that one.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. John, you may have tried it. I don't think I did.
I mean, I don't think I ever turned down an opportunity to try rum, especially when there's an opportunity to try it at no cost. I mean, that's like a perfect storm for me. I don't have to pay and I get to enjoy it. I'm not going to turn that down. Absolutely.
No way. You can't deny it. It's there. You gotta take it.
Yeah, you should. John's got a pretty epic collection of the bottled alcohol. There. He's got a pretty serious collection. I'm gonna jump into some more of these questions here. Let's see. This one's from Trip. I haven't read this question, so I'm kind of winging it here. Can you tell us a bit about what it is like to start working with my father? Which side does most of the blending?
Okay, that's a good question. Actually, it's a simple answer for everybody too. When you work with a master, if it's Guillermo or with Pepin and my father, you kind of give them an idea of what you're looking for. But at the end of the day, we don't try to get into the cook's kitchen. Like let the master chef do what he's got to do. You give them an idea or a concept of what you're looking for, and then they'll always send you blends. So whether we're there, we've done it both ways. Go to the factory for about a week, work on a blend, go back a few months later and try them again once they've been aged, or even just through having them send over, and then once that final process going in and finalizing it. But to answer your question, basically whether it's with Guillermo or with Pepin, we give them a concept or an idea of what we're looking for. Again, I'm not a master blender. I don't get into I want 25% ligero, 35 this or that. No way. You don't get into the chef's kitchen. You let them do what they got to do. That's what they're experts at. We're experts in marketing, positioning, and selling the product. So you let them do what they got to do, and just give them an idea. I'm looking for this medium body, maybe. We just go with industry trends with what's working. If this type of wrapper seems to be selling more, let me get something with this type of wrapper, this profile, and then they'll work with some blends, and we go back and forth. The 6 blends you send, maybe 2 or 3 are our favorite. But on 2, maybe we like it a little bit stronger. On number 3, maybe a little bit more sweetness. And then off of those 2 or 3 blends, he'll send us 2 or 3 samples off of each. And then you just start weeding it down. And again, at the beginning of our talk here, I told you that being in a small business, for good or for bad, you feel the effects of your decisions. So one of those decisions that I learned from enormously was we actually brought tobacco to Pepin and had him work on one of the blends for us. And it was the only blend that never worked with Pepin. I went to him and I was like, yo, Don Pepin, I don't know, it's not accepted. The consumer, they don't really like the blend. They were expecting something else. And in Spanish, he told me, he's like, look, he goes, you told me what to do. I just did what you told me to do. I didn't even have to write down notes or anything on that one. That one stuck in my brain. I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. I'm never jumping in the chef's kitchen again. Like that's what you do. He doesn't make me a cigar and tell me, you know what, the way to market it is this, and put this type of band and
Yep.
this type of box, and this is the special you need to run, and this is what you got to do, and your event should be like that. So it's everybody has their segment and their specialty in what they do. Like there's the guys that actually grow the tobacco, the people that blend and make the cigars, and then the people that market and sell the cigars. So as long as you stay within your own segment, there's very few people. There are some in the industry that are very knowledgeable on all of them. I'm not going to say that there's not, but for me, for example, that's what our specialty is once the product's here in the U.S. So just letting them know the trends in the market and what we're looking for, and then they make the products for us, whether it's gear or over.
So in that vein, Jason, we have a good question that sort of lends right into that from Garen Fry, and he wants to know, can you talk a little bit about the encounters you had while going through the rebranding of Nestor Miranda Collection, and he wants to know, can you talk a little bit about how long you worked on that?
Yeah, so that one, that's my baby. The rebranding of the Nestor Miranda Collection and everything, I took that one to heart, and it's about an 18-month process in total that we took to getting from the reblending of the products to the repositioning, the rebranding, new logo, and everything. Based off the 25th anniversary, so last year was the 25th anniversary of Miami Cigar, I wanted to do something to commemorate my father-in-law for his hard work and everything that he had done. His brand has always been, of the brands that we own on the non-flavor side, has always been the one that sells the best for us. But just like most brands through its time, it runs its life cycle. It still had its following and its sales, but it wasn't where it was at in years past when it was released in '09. I was like, you know what, I'm going to rebrand this guy's product. Like, I'm going to make it, I'm going to put it to time. It had the burlap before, wooden box, copper band with his signature. Everything that he did it was his product, it's what he liked. And I was like, this guy deserves for his brand to be updated and packaged and everything more modern, even with the blends, giving it a more up-to-date feel. Because the blends were made for that 2008, 2009 smoker, just to add a little bit more of the 15 token spice and strength to it. So we worked through. I worked with two great guys, with Matt and Nick down here in Miami. They run a great marketing and promotional company, and they helped me with the concept of the logo and everything. And I gave them an idea of what I was looking for, and I was blown away. I mean, we worked with several other people as far as branding and graphics and stuff go, but this guy, he gave me like 150 different options of what I was looking for. He's like, you told me this, here's 40 options based off of that. You told me that you like this, and here's 30, and here's 20, and here's this and that. And then I thought my wife was gonna kill me because of those 150 different options. I took about 50 that were, let's say, I don't know, quarterfinal, like the field of 64 in NCAA tournament. And I had them laid out on our floor in the house, in my room. And she's like, what's going on? Like, what is this? I go, no, listen, this is important to me. I need to make the right decision. It's your father's brand that I'm rebranding. It's not a whatever brand. This is his brand. And he is Miami Cigar, so it's got to be right. And then little by little, I'd wake up and I'm like, oh, I don't like this anymore. I don't like this. I don't like that. And little by little, we went down, weeding them out. So we got to that last one. I love it. It's modern. It's clean. It's to the point. It's got the NMC on it. It's very easy to place on any type of promotional item. And it's eye-catching. Like it's a great feeling to go, like when we do the events and we have the step and repeat and stuff like that, or the polos on. And guys that aren't even cigars, that they're marketing guys or whatever, they're like, that's a badass logo. That's a beautiful logo. And like, oh, who did that? And then somebody will be like, oh, he was the one behind it. And they're like, oh, you did a great job. And it makes you feel good, especially for him, for my father-in-law, that came to the U.S. with nothing, man. Like, he didn't have anything. He blood, sweat, and tears, baby. He did whatever it took to get to where he was at, and it's a great story. It's the true American dream, like everything that he's done. I got a good story on that, actually. Let me get into that, about that whole American dream and everything. When he came here, he originally lived in Miami. He moved to LA to meet Mariana, which is his wife now. Her and her family moved to LA, so he moved over there, started working. He worked at the Mattel toy store making Barbie dolls. So I was like, come on, man, like, you don't make this, you can't make that up. And he's like, oh, I swear that's where I worked. And he's like, and at night he worked at the Beverly Hills Hotel as a busboy. I'm like, oh, he's like, it was an amazing hotel, 5-star, the whole thing. I'm like, oh, that's great. He's like, and I learned just by listening to the people at the bar and at the restaurant. These were all like high-end guys, were well off, like they were making a lot of money, and he would just listen to their conversations, and he barely even spoke English. And it was just like listening to learn, like, wow, look at these guys, what they're thinking about. I've never even thought about thinking about that. Like, they're like so far ahead of me, and he just learned that way. And then he told me a story that when he, before he was in the cigar industry, but he was already doing good Southern Wine and Spirits, which is one of the largest, if not the largest distributor in the U.S. And he won a trip or something like that, and it was in the hotel, and it was the Beverly Hills Hotel where he got to stay. So he went into the hotel and he checks in, yes, Nestor Miranda, or whatever, and he checks in and he's talking to the girl in the front, and he's looking at the bar, and she's like, oh yeah, you can go have a drink as we check in. He's like, no, this is very special to me. And she's like, yes, it's a beautiful hotel. He's like, no, yeah, it's a beautiful hotel, but you see that guy there? Like, I used to be that guy. And they were like, Mr. Miranda, what are you talking about? He's like, I used to be a busboy here in whatever, 1960 something. And she's like, no way. He's like, yes, I did. I was a busboy. When he got to his room, there was a bottle of champagne like in his room, and they called him. And then he was like, hello. He was like, Mr. Miranda? He's like, yes. They're like, Nestor Miranda. Yes. Your birthday is this and this. He's like, yes. Like, he's already worried now, like, he did something wrong. And they're like, oh, well, the general manager or whatever would like to see you tomorrow at 10 in the morning. And he's like, I'm Mr. Miranda, from Miami, Florida, like that Mr. Miranda. And they're like, yes, Nestor Miranda. He's like, okay, yeah, I'll be there. And he looked at his wife and he goes, you're married to the man. She was like, why? He goes, the general manager wants to see us at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then he got there and they had like their whole staff, like executives and everything. And they had like a crazy like buffet set up for him. They were like, this is amazing that one of our busboys from 1960, whatever, has his family, his life has evolved to the point that now he can actually afford to stay in our hotel. And it's just one story of a million that I have just to show he worked hard, man. He earned everything that he's got, and he earned it. Him and his wife, they did what they had to do to make it happen. So that's what I was given this. I bust my ass. I work hard to do what I do to get my guys and my company to the next level. But it just makes it that much easier that I've already been given this base where we're at, where we're seen in the market, our footprint in the market. Now it's just my responsibility to take it to the next step. So, and I got to do it. I mean, if he did it, I got to show him up. I got to do better than that.
No pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's my drive, man. That's what I gotta do because he did it, and it was even harder for him. He didn't even speak the language when he got here. I speak the language, the whole thing. Like it's time for me. I gotta take it to the next step.
Okay, three things I want to say. That's a great story. That's a great story. Number one. Number two, Nestor needs to write a book because I want to read it. Just based on that story.
Definitely.
I mean, just to go like that, like you say, that's the blueprint of the American dream, and that's the title of his book. And I'm going to trademark that right now. So when he decides to write it, you guys just give me a call and we can we'll work it out.
Right.
But another thing I want to point out just about you that I've noticed during this interview, and this is again the first time we've ever met. When you talk about your business, you take on a more business style appearance in your face and your body language. But when you talk about your family, you get the biggest smile on your face when you're talking about your family. I think that's really cool. It's very endearing that you really, really love your family, and it really comes through. So I just wanted to point that out.
Appreciate that. I appreciate family is very important. It's been instilled for me, my family from the beginning, and it's like I said, they gave, even my in-laws, they gave me the opportunity. They believed. They saw it and they're like, this guy might be a little rough around the edges, but he's got it. He's got something there that we like, and they gave me the opportunity, and they let me go. Again, for good or for bad, they let me do what has to be done to get this company to the next level, and I appreciate them for that.
Yeah, and from what we can see on our end as consumers and cigar media, Miami Cigar really is taking that step. So what you're doing is working. John, we've got some time for a couple more questions.
Yep, and I think because that was a great story, but sort of a follow-up to the branding. I think there's a really poignant question here from Jason Myers. Jason has generally pretty good questions, and Jason wants to know, and I don't know if you can talk about this, but can we expect some of the La Aurora cigars to undergo some of the branding changes that you've done to the Nestor Miranda collection?
So it's something that we talk about all the time with La Aurora. It's a little bit more difficult with La Aurora just because they're very traditional. When you talk about 1903, 112 years in the industry, they have that iconic lion, the brand image. That's what they have, whether it be from the Preferido to some of the newer stuff, Guillermo Fernando, Untamed. We did get into it with the Untamed. I don't know if you guys have. You guys have smoked it before. I don't know if some of the listeners have smoked it. It's a more aggressive blend. It's more aggressive packaging as well. So it was not necessarily to show the consumer in the industry that that's where they're going from now forward, but just to show that they can do things that are a little bit different and not as traditional as normal. We're constantly working on it's not changing the brand image of La Aurora because that's something people through marketing they try to fake the tradition and all that. This company has a tradition, so
Yeah.
there's no fake. Like it's just relaying that message to the consumers and letting them know like if you want a Dominican cigar, there's great Dominican cigars, but if you want the Dominican cigar, it's a La Aurora cigar. Like you go to the Dominican Republic, all the signs are La Aurora. If you drink a beer, it's Presidente. That's their beer. Like if you go to a bank, it's Banco León. It's their bank. Like everywhere you go, it's La Aurora. Like that's what it is. All the humidors, the walk-in lounges, there's more and more opening up. The majority of the product, 30 to 40% of the product in that humidor, is La Aurora. Like all the big festivals and everything, they're sponsored by La Aurora. Like if you want Dominican, there's a bunch of like sayings that we say, like the legacy, Dominican done right, things like that. Like Guillermo's, basically, there's a few smaller guys, but Guillermo's the only big guy, Dominican, making cigars in the Dominican. Like he really is the Dominican cigar maker. So and it's hard to relay that, like unless you go to the Dominican and you feel it. Like that's why it's important for us to get as many people as possible to the factory because then they really see that and they're like, wow, yeah, it's not just my grandfather's cigar. Like there is the tradition and the sixth generation cigar maker with Guillermo. There's a lot of tradition behind that brand.
And anybody who is looking to smoke something from La Aurora, if you've somehow never smoked something from La Aurora, smoke the Cien Años. That is, and I think Jason, that's what you're smoking.
That's what I'm smoking right now. Yeah,
that's what I noticed from the band.
Yeah.
It's an unmistakable band, so you always recognize it, and that is just a phenomenal cigar.
Yeah,
phenomenal, elegant.
It's elegant is a great way to put it. If you really want to experience a fantastic Dominican cigar, you have to try the Cien Años. That is a no-brainer. And if you can find it in the Lancero, forget about it.
Yeah, that's a beast.
Yeah, it's just such a good cigar. John, we got a couple more questions.
Yeah, I'm just gonna scroll down here and see if I can find some tough ones because I feel like we're giving you softball questions. You're just hitting them out of the park.
Bring 'em, baby, bring 'em.
All right, here's a left field question from Garen Fry, and he says, in Cigar Star's conversation with Nestor Miranda, Nestor talks a lot about the huge role Guillermo Leon plays in helping over the years, and he wants to know, is this the kind of relationship between them that, let me see if I can read this right, is this the kind of relationship between them still seen today among the people that surround them?
We've been with La Aurora for 22 years as their exclusive distributor in the United States. It started with Fernando Leon, which is actually Guillermo's father, and Nestor. They were looking for distribution in the United States, and they heard about this Cuban couple that was making noise in the States and distributing their product, and they gave them the opportunity to distribute the product right before the cigar boom. And they ran with it. They ran with it from the beginning, and then it's funny because Nestor's known Guillermo since I think he was like 10 years old. So 10 or 15 years old, something like that. So it's crazy. Like he's seen him grow up through time and start in the factory, and he compares it a lot to, like, obviously I have a lot less years, but he's seen me grow through the company and seen Guillermo grow through all the steps. And you see these two guys together, and it's like they're brothers. Like forget about it. Like those two guys, like when they're together, they're a trip. Like it's just to see them interact and talk, and they're over 20 years difference in age. But just to see the two of them like interact, like you can feel like the love between the two of them because it's insane. And he's just there's no more humble person. I don't know if that's proper English in the cigar industry than Guillermo Leon. This guy is a beast. Like I was saying, owns a beer factory, owns the banks, owns the cigar factory. He owns everything in the Dominican Republic. I think the president talks to him before he makes the decision. And he's just so humble, man. He's so laid back, and he's got his button-down shirt and his Dockers tight pants on, and that's him. That's his uniform, and he chills. He's such like a down-to-earth guy, and to be able to be so powerful in your country and to be so humble with everything, it's when we take people down there, he'll hang out with us in the hotels or the restaurants 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning drinking with the guys. That's he enjoys it. That's what he likes. So it's to get back to the listener's question. Yeah, that relationship every year it gets stronger and stronger, and I'm lucky enough to have a great relationship with Guillermo as well, and it just grows. Like you can feel it. It's his family goes on vacation, they come down here, they stay in our houses. We go up there, we stay in their houses. Our kids are friends, things like that. So
It's like an
very
extended
similar.
family by the sounds of
Yeah,
it.
it totally is, and we look out for each other as much as possible. So it's a great relationship.
All right. So there's a question here, and we touched on most of this, but since we're kind of coming up towards the end, and this way listeners can just jump straight to this question. This one's from Shooter. He's a
Shooter.
mainstay on CigarFederation.com. He says, how many different brands and what are the names of the brands that Miami Cigar Company distributes for? So just kind of give everybody just a quick breakdown of everything that you guys distribute.
Right. Okay. So starting with the brand we spoke about earlier, Viva, which is a brand we've had on board for about 2 years now, under the Miami Cigar umbrella. They have the Rapture, so it's a Rapture Natural and Rapture Maduro, as well as the propaganda that we released at the show at IPCPR.
Fantastic cigar.
Yeah,
it's a great cigar.
All the blends and everything behind the Viva brands are different. They're outside of the box to say, like, they're different type of things. Jason Holly's a very creative cat, and he's got a good palate, and he does different things, and they're very accepted in the market. And then the Guerrilla Warfare, which is a smaller, it's like a petite size cigar, but it's a powerhouse. I actually have one around here, and they just released it in a Corona size too. So that would be its portfolio, as well as all the limited editions that we released. We're gonna try to do about one a quarter going forward. So we've done 2 this year so far, just to keep the actual Viva brand in everybody's mind and show them different concepts. Whether it be the Jailbreak, which was a Lancero within a 6x60, or the Culebra with each one of the different, the 2 Rapture blends and the Guerrilla mixed in together, which was a cool concept as well.
I thought that was very cool, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It's just different type of offsets, small releases, $500 type of thing, just so everybody, the guys that are really into that, they can get a chance to try it, and then move on to the next. Under the Laudora umbrella, the bread and butter, the trademark, the icon, staple, whatever you want to call it, is the Preferido. So the double perfecto shaped, 6 different wrappers, all the tubes, you guys have seen them in all the stores before. From as mild as the Connecticut all the way to the Dominican Corojo or the Broadleaf Maduro, there's 6 different wrappers in total. That's the staple. That's the icon in every humidor in the United States. You'll see that Preferido. And then going down, Family Reserve, which is Guillermo and Fernando's both signature blend. There's one called Guillermo Leon, one called Fernando Leon. 107 Maduro. The list goes on and on with Laudora. We have about 10 different brands in total that we distribute for them. And we're constantly looking for new brands and things like that. Actually, the new release that we'll have coming in next month is Puro Vintage, which is cool. It goes back to the wine concept of all the ingredients coming from 1 year. So this year's will be the 2006 release. So it's a badass product that actually comes. Actually, I have the box here, so I can show you guys that.
Breaking news.
Yeah, it's the original. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right there. Yeah, so it's an open that opens on top, and then it opens down like this. For some reason, I don't know what happened, but a lot of the cigars are gone.
Oh, what happened?
What happened?
So this is actually the original box, the La Aurora, when they boxed the product for the first time. It's the first box that they used. So to commemorate that in the 2006 edition, we thought it was time to go ahead and do that. So it's a cool concept. Again, short run, 1,500 boxes, 18 count. It's a 6 1/4 Salomon, 58 gauge at its fattest point. But we always release it every 2 years. So we started with the 03 crop, and 2 years later 04, 2 years later we did the 05, and now we're releasing the 06. Should be hitting the market in about a month. So that's something cool and different that we do. And then the Cien Años that you spoke about, the one that I'm smoking now, it's actually been our highest rated cigar. It was the #2 rated cigar in, I believe, 06, Cigar Aficionado, which the first one was a Cuban. So we say that we are the #1 non-Cuban cigar that year. And that one we re-released it 2010, I believe. Obviously not with the same props from 03, but we released that and it was a great success. Everybody accepted it great. And then on the Miami cigar portfolio, on the flavor side, we have Tatiana, which is the #1 premium flavor cigar in the U.S. I know not everybody smokes flavor cigars, but for those that do, it does great for us, and it's a very strong brand for us in the U.S. market. Again, a staple in all of the humidors in the United States. You'll see that Tatiana product. I have to throw that plug in there because that's my wife as well.
Of course, gotta do it.
And then on the premium side, cigars, we have the Casa Miranda, which was first made at Titan de Bronce, the Chapter 1, and then Chapter 2 was made by Pepin and Esteli, Nicaragua. It's doing very well for us. And we went with a more fuller body soft box press, which is the Añoranza. Doesn't get as much love. It's overshadowed by the Nesta Miranda and some of our La Aurora products. But that cigar, to me, that blend is an amazing blend. It just needs some love, and that goes back, starts with me at the top. If I don't give the love to the brand, the reps won't give it as much. But it's a good product. If you see it out there in the stores, it's a great cigar. And then the last but not least is the Nesta Miranda collection that we spoke about, and I want to show you guys a little something here too. So what you guys will see coming in June, based off the special selection, we did have a product called the Dano. So this is the new Dano for the Nesta Miranda collection. I don't know if you guys can take a look. It'll be available in all 3 wrappers as well: the Connecticut, the Habano, and the Maduro. It's just hard to see here, I think, but you can see there it's got the same. Let me see if you can see. It's got the same logo as the previous one, obviously, and then it's got a write-up in here. A lot of people know the Dano, but they don't know the reason behind the Dano. The Dano was made. The first time that it was made was to commemorate the 20th anniversary is when we released it, and the name comes because it was Nestor's son who passed away. Passed away way too early. He was 38 years old. So we did it to commemorate him, but we didn't. Nestor liked the concept, but he didn't want to market it that way and do it that way, like to make a profit off of that or anything like that. So actually now, 6 years later, is the first time that we actually give the story behind it. Everybody loves the Dano. It's a 7x56. They love the size and the whole thing. But the reason why it's called Dano is his name was Danny Miranda, and he passed away. So it's to commemorate him more than anything else, and obviously it's very sentimental, and it's a very strong. Nestor, that's his baby, like that's his boy. He had one son, and that's his son. So we always to keep him, like to keep his name and everything in. He helped them grow this company to where it was today. So we always do that to commemorate Danny. So that's the sentimental part of it. But that one will be releasing in June, right before the IPCPR. We'll be releasing that product.
Great. That was a great rundown. You brought us right up to the end. So appreciate all the information that you've given us and being so generous with your time. Really do appreciate that. Guys, thanks for joining us here on our Armed Forces Radio Network segment. Just right up at the end, you can find Jason online. It's MCC. Is it MCC Wood pretty much everywhere?
MCC_Wood. Yeah, on all social media. It's that on all of them.
Yeah, and then Miami Cigar. It's Miami Cigar and Company, but it's usually Miami Cigar Co. pretty much everywhere, right?
All the handles, if it's for Twitter or Instagram, things like that, it's just straight Miami Cigar.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back. No show next week. I'm at the ballpark all week next week, so no show. We'll be following up the following Monday with Mombacho Cigar out of Canada, John, out of Canada.
Heck yeah.
So, and they've got a nice cigar as well. So we'll look forward to chatting with you guys then. Everybody, thanks for joining us. You can find us at CigarFederation.com. We'll be back the following Monday. And everybody have a great weekend and stay safe.
Take care.
Okay, now we're back. That's the end of our restaurant segment. So all those words that you didn't want to use before, you can use them all now because we're not FCC regulated anymore. So we get the nice little E with the red square around it for all of our podcasts. So Logan usually comes out and just takes full advantage of it. That's really not my style. Yeah, he does. He goes with you got to go earmuffs on some of that stuff. But so I think we kind of broke away from that this week. But no, thanks for taking so much time and spending so much time with us. We've got a ton of giveaways. John, I've picked a few winners. And I know you had you had a question you wanted to ask some of the listeners. They're going to email you now. So give everybody all that information.
All right. I like to make the weasels work for it. I mean, that being said, there were some good questions, but weasels, you're going to have to work for it. So at the start of the show, I was mentioning that Rob and I tend not to do a lot of cigar chats together. So weasels, you got to find the last cigar chat that Rob and I hosted together, and you get to email that show name to John, John, pretty traditional, at CigarFederation.com. You can put it in the title, you can put it in the body, but you got to email that to win, have a chance at winning. So what is the last cigar chat that Rob and I hosted together? Get your weasel on.
And include your name and full mailing address as well. Mm-hmm. I picked a couple of winners. Garen Fry is a winner because he has a lot of great questions.
Absolutely.
And Jason Myers. I feel like I picked these guys a lot. But they're ones they always ask the best questions.
Yeah, some good questions.
They always get upvoted the most, so we always ask them. So those two guys are winners, so they got to email you anyway. And I know that there was at least one, and extra bonus weasel if you can figure out if there was more than one, because I honestly don't know if we've hosted more than one show together. I know we've done one, but I don't know if we've done more than one.
Bonus weasel, if you can find more than one show, email it to John at CigarFederation.com for extra weasel points.
Yeah, and I think we've got some shirts. I know Jason sent us a ton of stuff. We've got a Mazo of all three of the Nestor Miranda collection blends. The Maduro, which I just smoked, which is fantastic. It's just a great cigar.
Absolutely.
If you haven't smoked it yet, shame on you. But you can get in and try to win some of this stuff. And I want some podcast listeners to email us as well. So podcasts, if actually everybody who emails, if you haven't emailed already, which some of you probably have, tell us how do you digest the show? Do you watch it live? Do you watch on YouTube, or do you listen to the podcast? And we're going to pick some winners based on how you guys watch it too. So so include that information in there as well. I know we've got all three of those blends. We've got some rocks glasses in there, I think.
Yep.
And some
Nice.
T-shirts as well. So although some of those rocks glasses, John, they might make their way to me and you. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like the pairing show could use a couple of those to.
So good props for.
Absolutely.
Good props for sharing our pairings, of course. So, Jason, we covered a ton of stuff, man. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on? I know we wanted to talk about new stuff, but we got into that, yeah?
Yeah, we got that. It was our two main releases coming up are both the Puro Vintage 06 out of the La Aurora factory, and then the Nestor Miranda collection Dano, we'll be releasing in early to mid-June out of Pepin's factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. So those are our two main releases. Looking forward, like always, to the IPCPR. It's always a good time to get to see all our customers in 3 or 4 days. Hang out, have a good time, sell some product, get some work done, but at the same time, just continue to build the relationships and have a good time with the guys that support our brands.
Rob and
Yeah.
I are going to have to find you on the floor and pin you down for an interview if you're not too busy with the customers.
Definitely, that's not a problem. I don't mind. I like talking to you guys and just getting out there and talking to customers, consumers, anything that has to be. I really enjoy it.
That's the delicate part of our job. And, I mean, if you're talking to us, we don't come across as very delicate people. I guess I would probably be the most delicate, or maybe most diplomatic, maybe.
Right.
But that's the delicate part, because and it's delicate for you too, because you're there for a reason. Like you said, you want to meet all of your customers in 4 days.
Right.
And I mean, when you have a lot of customers, that's tough. But then you've got media there who want a little bit of your time as well. So it's a juggle. And I've never actually asked that question. I mean, do you find that difficult to deal with? You're working with a customer, and then let's say you see John and I walk up, and you know that we want some of your time, a couple of minutes, do a quick interview. How do you deal with that?
I think you guys, when you approach whoever it is in the industry, you have to remember too that what you're doing is helping and supporting our brands at the same time also. So don't feel as bad about it. I mean, obviously, if we're in it with a customer and we're talking, don't interrupt them. But I mean, you got to pick your spots, but also to be confident when you talk to us that what are you looking for? I mean, you're looking for an interview. Like, that's not it's to promote my brand. Like, for me, example, it's to promote my brand. Like, it's only going to better my brand. Like, it's not going to hurt my brand. It betters my brand by being on your show, talking to the guys that follow you guys and stuff like that. So it's important that you guys remember that too. Obviously, with the understanding that if there is business taking place, but I mean, there's times like when you're done with that customer and you see us walk away, you just let us know. Hey, is now the time or is later better? I think that's the only question you guys need to ask. Like, and be confident that and that's my opinion, you're there to help us. Like, obviously, the more interviews and stuff you get, it's better for your site, it's better for your listeners and everything. But more than it, don't think of it that way, like it's a hassle or it's a pain in the ass for you guys to get us. It helps our brands more. It's become part of the industry, and it's what we need to do to better our brands and to get our brands out there and our company out there. Even us personally, like to get us out there, like as a face in the industry and stuff like that. So go in there with confidence. Obviously, not disrespectful when somebody's negotiating, you're in something, you're sitting down with a customer. But when there's free time, just let them know. Just be like, hey, I'm here. We'd love to get you guys on the show. Is now the time, or if not, we understand you guys are busy. What's the best time? And then just follow up on that. And it's what you guys do is great for a company. So I'd be confident.
I appreciate you saying that. We've this will be it's going to be our this will be our third IPCPR, I think, third or fourth. I wasn't at the first one, but anyway, I noticed the first one was. First, we go see all the people that we know already, right? All the people that we know from Cigar Federation or from CigarChat, which has been going on for almost 3 years now.
You gotta warm up. You gotta warm up a little bit.
Yeah. Walk into the people that you know, and then it's like then you go into the bigger booths. But there's always some that have that kind of Swiss bank feel to them, where you're just like, I walk in, I don't know anybody here yet.
Right.
But it's like you said, just walk in and be confident. That's a good tip. But last year was definitely, and John, you can attest to this too. I mean. We had we had people grabbing us,
Yep.
which was new. That was a new experience for us. So it was a good feeling to feel like what we're doing really is valued. And I know there is that a little bit of butting heads, I guess, when it comes to IPCPR and media and stuff. That's a whole other topic. But I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to New Orleans, and
Neither.
when Jason called me this morning, we did a test run on the video to make sure that everything was working. I was booking our hotel room, so I'm getting really excited about it now.
Yeah, it's coming. It's close. It keeps getting closer. So it
really is. Like it's
the time. It's different. It's a different feel than Vegas. Like it's a totally different feel to it. It's a good time. New Orleans is a good time.
I'm excited. My wife is going to come down on the show ends on Tuesday. There's that half day on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
She's coming down Tuesday afternoon, and we're going to stay through Saturday, I think. And,
very cool.
And go do. I know she's going to make me do a swamp tour, which I probably don't want to do because I don't like lizards and alligators and stuff that wants to like eat part of me.
Right.
That's not really my thing, but I'll go.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited. It's supposed to be a really cool town. I've never been. John, have you been to New Orleans before?
I've traveled to a lot of places, but I have not been to New Orleans. So, the idea of visiting Swamp, I'm always down. Like I want to absorb as much culture as possible. I am planning on putting on 10 pounds in the food and the drink.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be a blast. I've been looking forward to it since we talked about it last July.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different vibe, at least from what I can tell from the hotels. And my wife she's so good at finding this stuff. I don't know how she does it, but she found the hotel that we're going to stay at after IPCPR, and it's like a Ritz style hotel, and somehow she got like 3 days free. I don't know how she does it. But
she saved us a lot of ducats too.
Yeah, and in the hotel that we're staying in, but it just looks like it's got that just an old, almost Victorian, not Victorian, it's not the right term, but I think of anything old as Victorian because I'm not a historian or an art guy, but it's got that old school feel to it. We don't get a lot of that in California. Unless you go to the
Queen Anne, baby.
You go to the gold country and you see some guys that were panning for gold, which whatever, I didn't find any, so it's not that interesting for me, but going down to New Orleans, that's going to be. I'm definitely looking forward to the food and the drink as well, because from what I see, they've got a lot of good stuff down there. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I told Jason we'd have him here for a little over an hour, and that's right about where we are. John, we're going to email the winners directly, I think, or are we just going to? Right. Maybe we'll just pick them, and if something shows up, then you won. But that's kind of how we've been doing it lately, just sending out surprise packages to people. Jason, again, really do appreciate the time. Thank you for being so generous with the giveaways. Appreciate that as well. And look forward to seeing you at IPCPR and meeting you in person and sharing some rum.
Definitely. I had a great time. I appreciate you guys letting me be on the show and talking to your listeners and all that. I enjoy all this stuff. A little bit of a talker, It's a little bit longer, but I enjoy it. I like interacting and getting involved and talking about our story more than anything, the family story and what they did to get to where they were at and our plans for the future and stuff. And like I told you guys are great for the industry, and everybody's warming up. The manufacturers that haven't yet, they're going to come around and they're going to see that it helps. The guys that follow and support you, like their brands are going to reap the benefits of it, and everybody else is going to come aboard because it doesn't make sense not to. You need to promote your brands. And if you give me this venue to actually promote it to your listeners and everything, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. You guys are doing a great job. I really appreciate it.
I'm thinking after the IPCPR, Rob and I might have to see if we can get you on for sharing our pairings, do a little rum pairing with some Nestor Miranda cigars.
We do a live show at the factory in the Dominican Republic.
There we go.
There we go.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, because Dominican is next on my list.
Absolutely.
Somebody just recently posted a video of what it's like to land at the Honduras airport. I just don't know that I can do that.
Like a roller coaster.
That's man. I'm 30. I'm in my 30s, so I've traveled a lot. I've been on airplanes, and it's fine. I have no problem with it. I hate the landing. I just hate it. Like the landing freaks me out. And the way that they have to land that airplane, I'm never going to Honduras. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, it's something. It's something else.
yeah, everybody has that reaction. And once I saw that video, I was like, I'll forget about it. I can't do it. But no, Dominican is definitely next on the list. So that's going to be fun. And just want to give you kudos to Gabriel Panaris, who you guys work with, and he makes setting these kind of things up and working with you guys. He makes it very easy for us.
Very cool. I like to hear that.
Yeah, so he does a great job. Guys, really do appreciate you checking out Cigar Chat. We will be back again on Monday. I think it's the 20th. With Mombacho, which is a newer company, newer to the American market anyway. They've been around in Canada for a while, and their cigars are really good as well. So that's going to be a fun show. Marcus is a hoot, so that'll be a good time. Appreciate everything you guys do. You can find us at CigarFederation.com. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Take care, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.